absolutely massive game. You got Tennessee going to Norman, Oklahoma. Josh Heupel's return back to Norman. It's going to be a lot of fun. What does Josh Heupel's quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, need to do to allow Tennessee to win this game? We'll talk about it right now. Make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Want to make sure y'all know that this show, The Hard Count, this segment, is brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Daily fantasy, super easy to play. Not to toot our own horn, but we are hot right now when it comes to the PrizePicks side of things. So feel free to fade us. Feel free to follow us. We'll have a pick a little bit later in this segment using code HARDCOUNT now. Most important part, use that code when you sign up. $5 in lineups gets you $50 in promo funds. So even if we end up somehow, I don't know how this will happen, even if somehow, some way, we end up not hitting on our projection, still allowed and able to have that $50 promo funds. So using code HARDCOUNT. Appreciate y'all for that. So I think one of the major things that has to happen if Tennessee wants to win this football game, Nico Iamaleava needs to be able to outlast that first wave of momentum that will inevitably be present from Oklahoma. And when I say that first wave, I mean, let's be real here. There will be a lot of emotion around this game for both sides. There'll be a lot of emotion from the crowd towards Josh Heupel. I think that Brent Venables and that defense will try and apply some pressure pretty early on to this Tennessee offense to kind of rattle the cage of Nico Iamaleava. All that has to happen in this spot is just tread water. Like, if you can get some points out of that, amazing, and that obviously would help put that first wave out of the system pretty quickly if you're Tennessee. But I'm just saying, like, play as clean as possible during that first part of the game. Because if Tennessee ends up having, maybe a couple miscues, and let's just say that something happens where, Tennessee ends up turning it over, that feeds the beast that is the crowd in Norman, Oklahoma. So at that point, the crowd gets into it, momentum starts to shift, maybe you're chasing points. There's going to be a wave now. How long does it last? What does that look like? Is it just the first series? Maybe Tennessee gets a few first downs, that wave dies down, you punt it away. That could be the way that you handle it. But just avoid catastrophe when there's a ton of momentum, a ton of juice, a ton of electricity in the air for Oklahoma. Just do your best to try and minimize that as much as possible. That sounds very simplistic, but for what I just said a second ago, if you're not able to play clean during that first wave, things could get a little bit more interesting than you would like to have them be. I think for Nico, we say this a lot whenever we talk about him just because I think it's such a massive part of his game, and we'll see it a lot in this game specifically. Have to be able to maximize his mobility factor. And the reason why it's even more important in this game, I spoke to the Brent Venables and Sooner defense trying to be a little bit more confusing and try to bring pressure. Like, Oklahoma has an 11% sack rate on the year. That's not even accounting for the times they're able to disrupt the passing lanes for the quarterback by collapsing the pocket or forcing him out of the pocket and throw it away. Like, they're going to heat you up a little bit. Now, to be fair, they haven't played the likes of Tennessee just yet, not to knock Houston or Tulane. They just haven't played an offense of this caliber just yet. But even with that being said, whenever you apply pressure, if you're able to get past that blitz or step out away from that blitz, there's going to be some space, more often than not, that occupies where that blitzer is coming from. So all that's to say, if you can just beat that blitz, step up in the pocket, break, contain, whatever it is, keep your eyes downfield, heck, get up and under it, run past it, there's going to be green grass. Whether it's from a passing perspective or a running perspective, if you're able to beat the blitz, there are big plays to be had. So going back to the mobility factor, being able to escape and find that open space, that could be the big plays that happen for Tennessee. And that's the other part of this now. I think for Tennessee, when you watch how this offense works, there's a lot of intermediate stuff in the beginning with the pass game. There's a lot of running the football. I mean, Tennessee actually, if you check the numbers over the course of the last few years, they're a run-first operation. They build to those big plays. They build to those splash highlights that you saw in 2022 with Jalen Hyatt. They build to those deep passes to a Squirrel White. For Tennessee, there's going to be moments now where they build to those deep shots downfield. For Nico Iamaleava, in the biggest spot of his college career to this point, on the road, college game day, it's going to be prime time. Like, in those spots, got to have a steady heart rate, steady hands, got to have the poise to be able to deliver, because I don't know how many of those there's going to be. I expect there to be more than one, but if you miss on that first one now, you could end up chasing those opportunities the rest of the way. So I think that's huge. When there's money on the table, as we say on this show, you got to be able to cash in. If you can control the tempo, if you can see the whole picture with the crowd bearing down on you and the defense bringing different pressures and, the defensive end giving you a different look, he's going to rush and then he peels off to cover the running back. Like, just to be able to steady yourself, be able to center yourself more or less, and as a whole, keep this offense centered, they're going to be in good shape. We picked Tennessee to win this game for a reason. A big reason why is because of because of Nico Iamaleava and the way he's piloted this Tennessee offense to this point in his very short career in Knoxville. Now, when it comes to PrizePicks, we're going to do a two-square play here. So the way that PrizePicks works, you pick 2 or more player projections, pick the more or less on those. Again, you redeem code HARDCOUNT, $5, $50 in promo funds. You're off to the races. We'll take the free square that they're offering all September. Caleb Williams, more than a half passing yard. Thank you. And then Nico Iamaleava, his rush yard total right now is set to 32.5 rushing yards. I like the more on that. I think they'll dial up some design runs for him. I think they're going to do a lot to try and get him rolling a little bit in that, like I said, design quarterback run world. But also what he does when the play breaks down, I think he'll also find a way to surpass that 32.5 rush yard total. So the more on 32.5 rush yards for Nico Iamaleava, and then the free square of Caleb Williams using code HARDCOUNT. We're off and running. So, again, make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all being dialed in. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, we're hot right now on PrizePicks. Fade or follow. It is your right as an American. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.